We'll take thought beyond what it has been before. It is certain we can feel who you are. Be playful about it. Don't worry if we don't call you to the chair. Everyone who sits here is in the process of helping you to know what it is you want to know. Every subject that is active within you is understood by us, and we will address every single one of them fully. Begin right here. Do you like knowing that you're vibrational? Do you like the idea of your vortex, who is all that you are, beating a signal that is so powerful that if you will allow it, it will train you into the frequency of it? Do you know what will happen when you allow your vortex to train you upward? Things that you want will manifest. And do you know what is the only thing that is keeping you from allowing your vortex to train you upward? Attention to unwanted things, that's all. If you'll stop doing that thing you do, your vortex will have its way with you. And when it does, you will like it. As we have these conversations with so many of you, often it feels to you, or at least your intent when you first start is, Abraham, I'm this physical person living this physical life, and there are things missing. I want my body to feel better. I want my body to look better. I want a different life experience than I have. In terms of manifestation, I want the manifestation of my life to shape up in an improved way. So I'm willing to listen to your processes in order to bring that about. We say right from the outset that if what you're reaching for is improved manifestations, then we're off on the wrong foot to begin with. Because what you're reaching for is alignment with who you really are. In other words, most people are looking for love in all the wrong places. So what that ornament breaking represents is a very vivid opportunity for you to realize that even as you went back after the fact and insist on continuing to call it a treasured object, we want to say we would like to put all things of a manifestational nature into a pile that we call not treasured. And we would like what's treasured to be the feeling place of the vortex. In other words, it's the battle that so many people have about haves and have-nots. It's the battle that people have about having money or not having money. So many people are sensing that they are putting emphasis in the wrong places on life. And what we want to bring to the conversation is that we want you to have all of that stuff, but we want you to find your vibrational vantage point first from which to understand it and enjoy it. It's not about manifestation or not. It's not about materialism or spiritualism. It's about connecting with the fullness that life has caused you to be and then addressing your material world from that vantage point. So when we say to you that you have a very high flying frequency in your vibrational vortex, then that must make you understand that if you can achieve a consistent high-flying frequency in your day-to-day offering of thoughts and words and behaviors, that with a little bit of practice, you can get pretty good momentum going. And as that momentum becomes something that's so practiced that it's easy to keep going, then more and more you will be vibrating in sync with who you really are, so there will be little resistance or no resistance between who you really are and what you are wanting and where you're standing, so that you can receive the manifestations. You receive the inclinations. You receive the inspirations. You receive the impulses. You become a cooperative component in your own brilliant creation of life. And when you become a consistent cooperative component to the vortex that you've been creating, then the movement in your life experience is very exhilarating, because first of all, you feel good most of the time, and you have a leverage. You have flowing through you this energy that creates worlds, and what you're accomplishing in terms of how it feels and in terms of how it is perceived by those around you is really magnificent. In other words, when you begin applying the leverage of this energy that creates worlds, because you've tuned yourself into the frequency where it exists, then wonderful things begin happening for you. And it's not just the end result that we're excited about for you. It's a joyful journey along the way. Well, you took that pretty well. Because, well, that's hard. It's a hard thing to hear. What we're saying to you is, in terms of physics, it would be like saying to you, as you're driving down the road, you want to look where you're going, not where you are. And not where you've been. You want to look where you're going. And while that's simplistic and really almost silly, it's the same idea. We want you to look toward what will manifest, but we want you to look toward what is. We want you to feel the realness of who you are. We don't think you should have to croak in order to release resistance. You will. When you croak, you will we try to be as disrespectful as death as we can be, since there isn't any. But when you leave this physical body and withdraw your attention from things that you're thinking about here, you will become that highest bounce. You will become the fullness of all that you are. You will soar into the energy that is really who you are. But you don't have to have a physical death experience in order to do that. You just have to vibrationally, incrementally tune yourself to the frequency of all that you are. So we've been talking about this for a while, and many of you have been hearing us for a while. Esther certainly has been hearing it for a long while. And she said to Jerry the other day, you know, it's interesting how in all of this that I've been hearing, I realize that I've still been counting on my action for far more than I meant to. Because in many cases, I don't really have to line up with my vortex because I've got people who can just bang it into place. I'll just call someone and say, this is out of whack. Can you take care of it? And they do. They're really good at wrestling things to the ground. But in the process of that, Esther realizes that she doesn't move her vibration. She just calls someone and they wrestle something else to the ground. And then she realizes that sometimes she can create more brush fires than she has brush fire putter-outers. And then a sort of clarity is beginning to occur to many of you. We've been talking about this vortex. You get it, don't you? So something happens. Maybe someone walks into your experience and they don't jive with you in the way you would like them to. They're annoying in some way, or they're unknowledgeable in some way, or they're belligerent in some way. They're abusing someone in some way. It doesn't matter. You witnessed it and you're having a knee-jerk response to it. And as you're having this negative emotion, the reason you're having the negative emotion is because you're responding to it in the way that you are. And if you feel negative emotion, it means that your inner being is responding to it in an entirely different way. In other words, what you're feeling isn't about what you've witnessed. It's about your relationship with the larger part of you who's having a different experience. Can you hear that? Because who you really are is loving this obnoxious person, even though you are not. And so the rift that you've got going on is the separation is too strong a word between who you really are and who you're being. So that's a manifestation that happened. This is the thing that we want you to realize. That person walked into your life and you experienced that manifestation. When we talk about manifestations, we know you think we're talking about cars and empires and legacies and books and relationships and all those pinnacle sort of things that you have been thinking of in terms of goals that you're reaching for. But we want you to understand that what manifestations are, what we really mean by manifestation is what's happening now. This is a manifestation. This room, these lights, these screens, this sound, this people, this global audience. This is a manifestation that's happening right here and now. Your relationship with your chair, your relationship with the people you're sitting next to. This is a manifestation. It's happening now. Manifestation. Everything that is happening around you is a manifestation that is evidence of one thing and one thing only. Your relationship with your vortex. Your relationship with your vortex. So the fact that this annoying person is there or this belligerent person is there is your manifestation, which is simply reflecting back to you your relationship with your vortex. That's all. And that's what's so interesting. Many people, as they hear us speaking like this, think that we're talking about non-physical and physical, or not yet manifested and manifested. But what we are really talking about is the vibrational version of you that is in sync with the whole of you and the thought that you're thinking in this moment, because they could be one and the same. You can be physically focused and in this body having a thought that perfectly aligns with the source energy part of you. And when you do, you will be living what we want to call real-time reality. In other words, you'll be up to the minute in terms of vibration with all that you have become, and under those conditions, and only under those conditions, will you feel your very best. We also want to say to you that what you are calling reality, even if you just got online and checked your bank balance, and you say, that's what it is now, 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 we say it's old news. Because this vortex of creation, this vibrational reality, this is really what's present tense. And this vibrational reality, this is what you've got to be aware of, and this is what you've got to be vibrationally up to speed with, and this is what you've got to be vibrationally in sync with, and this is what you've got to be vibrationally resonant with. This is what you want to be blended with, because this is the real time. And if you're lagging in the past, even if it is the just recently manifested past, it is old news. Can you hear that? It's old news. That's why when someone says, I am sick, we always say, no, you are not. But Abraham, look at my x-ray. Old news. But look at my blood test. Old news. But look, they've got my casket ready. Premature. Old news, old news, old news, old news, old news, because you have, because of that, created in your vortex a new version of you that if you would believe it, and if you would reach for it, and if you would find resonance with it, and if you would release the resistance, which is the only thing that is keeping you from being there, you would be the new, in the moment, up to speed, well person that you really are vibrationally. That's what Jesus knew. When you sat before him dripping your illness, he didn't look at your illness. Instead, he knew your wellness, and he knew it so powerfully that as you were in his presence, believing in what he knew to be, your illness could not abide in his vibration. And Jesus was not the only healer. There have been many, 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 many. It's just someone that you talk about more here than anyone else. It is delicious to come together with those like you who are coming more and more every day to know who you are. We've enjoyed this especially today because you came into the vortex with us and in large part knew what we knew while we knew it. Did you feel how smart you felt? In other words, didn't it make sense? Didn't you find the logic of it? Can't you feel your power as you know who you are? We always like it when we have conversations that sort of help you to ease up on your concerns about health, and ease up on your concerns about death, and ease up on your concerns about lovers and money. Anything that causes you to just let go of your grip a little bit gets you into closer vicinity of who you really are. And because we see so clearly what's in your vortex, it is exhilarating to us to anticipate the manifestations from inside the vortex that are on your very close doorstep. In other words, the thing that is the most satisfying to us about your willingness to play with us in these kind of settings is that when you are deliberate about what you want and contemplative of it and willing to deliberately seek relief, deliberately get into the vortex, when you are consciously aware that you have identified desires and that you are consciously aligning with them, making your emotions important to you. When a manifestation occurs, your sense of empowerment just goes off the charts. And that's how you help to empower others, is by discovering your own empowerment and then displaying it. The feeling of worthiness really only ever is fully understood or experienced when life has showed you that you want it, you've recognized that you're not near it, you've done the work to line up with it, and then you've witnessed the manifestation of it. That's when you feel your power. That's when you know who you really are. That's when you are being who you came here to be.